Hey y'all, coming at you as a huge tucking head, semi-pickup truck, just outside of Waffle House. Doing what Americans do in the South. I want to talk today about women's subjects. I, the big bearded man, I'm about to talk about women's stuff. And it's amazing how it's intersectionality intersecting with our lives and pervading our lives so much. How the categories are all supposed to bleed into each other and feed each other. And yet, this sense that we can't talk about things that are not directly in our experience increases. So, even though I know a woman or two, even though I observe a woman or two, not allowed to talk about women, but I'm going to. And I'm going to risk offending. So we're coming into that time of year where people celebrate motherhood and people complain about the celebrations of motherhood. It's nearly Mother's Day. This year, Mother's Day falls on my wedding anniversary. The only one in our marriage who has forgotten when our anniversary is, has forgotten to observe our anniversary, is my wife. So I feel like I will always win now. But this year she's definitely not going to forget because our anniversary is on Mother's Day. Alright, Mother's Day. What happened? Blatant, rampant celebrations of maternity. Schools, sometimes even the workplace, churches. Every church, it seems, is going to say something or do something to celebrate Mother's Day. Now, first of all, let me go on the record for a couple things. One, I think Mother's Day is stupid. I've said so before, gotten flack for it. Look into the origins of Mother's Day. But it's not just Mother's Day that's dumb. All of these holidays that do not come from religious or historical celebrations are crap. And man, as a Brazilian, let me tell you, it's even worse there. It's the day of everything. Not only do they have Mother's Day and Father's Day, they have Children's Day as well. Who's going to hate on Children's Day? Well, I am. And of course, you see on social media the day of this, the day of that, which mostly people ignore, but there are a few more of those that actually get some traction in Brazil. Well, all those made-up holidays are just... they're a distraction from what we live our lives for. So Mother's Day is dumb, but whatever, right? All these churches are going to celebrate Mother's Day. They're going to give out flowers. They're going to say something from the pulpit. There's going to be a round of applause. There might be a special meal, a special event. Who knows? So there are two objections to these celebrations that are pretty standard. The first objection is that some people can't be mothers, and it makes them sad. The second objection is that some women don't want to be mothers. And the idea is that this celebration of motherhood denigrates their choices, poo-poos their choices. So let me talk about the second one first, because it's utter. So we're talking about crap. Now we're talking about utter crap. I mean, it's easily dismissed with a simple question: is motherhood a thing worth celebrating on its own, like without the context of women who don't want to be mothers? Is motherhood a thing worth celebrating? Right? Is being a cop a thing worth celebrating? Is graduating from high school a thing worth celebrating? There are things that we celebrate in our little microcultures and our little subcultures that are celebrated just as being good things. So even on that level, just on that very basic level of, oh, being a mother is a good thing, we should be able to celebrate that. If we celebrate cops in the church, which again is a thing I think is, it's kind of dumb. There's no need for any of that. But if we celebrate cops, we celebrate soldiers, we celebrate youth, we celebrate the teenagers, the old people in our church. We celebrate people who adopt. We celebrate whatever. We celebrate all sorts of things in our churches. When we celebrate the youth, does that mean that we are denigrating the old? That's just dumbness. Be confident in your choice not to have a child. If that's the choice you made, be confident in it. And let's celebrate the achievements of others who have made other choices. Let's celebrate women in STEM. Great. Is celebrating women in STEM going to denigrate women who decided to go into literature? The second objection is one of causing undue pain to those who are barren. And that is one that I think we can rightly be called in our churches to be sensitive and cautious about. But again, we need to start from the question, is motherhood a thing worth celebrating? Barrenness in Scripture is viewed as a curse. It is a curse. It's something people beg to be relieved of from God. By God. Prepositions, man, they get me. We see that throughout Scripture, and God delivers often by delivering a woman from barrenness. Now, does this mean that an individual barren woman has done something in particular to deserve being barren? No. Now, I'm not saying that no barren woman is being judged, but rather that barrenness is a wide judgment, and it's a symptom of the fall. Some people have a tendency towards diabetes because of the fall. Some people have a predisposition towards cancer because of the fall. People's bodies are broken. People are born with crippled brains. People are born with crippled legs. People are born with crippled uteruses and crippled testicles. Talking about crippled testicles as these guys are getting out of their van. So it's a curse, and it's a symptom of the fall. So I understand that we should mourn with those who mourn. We need to be sensitive to people who can't have children and who weep because of that. But it seems to me that, so without making a judgment about wisdom in particular situations, in general, we ought to be celebrating the good things and the blessings that God gives us, right? We should celebrate our healthy children, even though our neighbor has a crippled child. Right? We should celebrate our children who can frolic through the fields, even though we might have a child who's seriously asthmatic. We should celebrate the blessings that our brothers and sisters have been given, even if we don't have those blessings, and even if having those blessings causes us grief. And the same ought to be the case for barrenness. The Bible makes it very clear that children are a blessing from the Lord, so we ought to celebrate children. The Bible makes it clear that mothers are to be treasured and celebrated. The Bible makes it clear that mothers should be treasured and celebrated, so we ought to treasure and celebrate them. Así nomás, just like that. And then we have to deal with, so we celebrate blessing. That is what we do. We celebrate blessing. And then we have to deal with how do we bring in the cursed, the poor, those who are underweight, those who should have erased more videos. All right, but those are my points. I'm done. Okay? Those two things, we should celebrate motherhood. We should celebrate motherhood. That's just a thing we should do. We don't need to bring Mother's Day into our sanctuaries. People should stop complaining about us celebrating motherhood. I am out before the phone cuts me off again. The peace of Christ be upon you.